Wow. And in conclusion, a standing O and a great introduction, I'm done. All right? But before I get started sharing some comments with all of you about the county and what we do and the issues before us and into the future, I just wanted to have us take a moment. You may see a vacant table back there, and the city of Downey was supposed to join us today. But as you all know, they're facing a very tragic situation that we've all heard about. So I would ask that we take a moment, just a brief moment of silence, in honor of police officer Ricardo Galvez, who was senselessly murdered this morning outside the Downey police station. Thank you. So tragic. 29 years old, a veteran. So we know what we have to do each and every day. Those men and women in public safety, what they do for us, and put their lives on the line, never knowing what that event may take place. So we are grateful for all of them. Yes, go ahead. And to Jennifer, thank you so much for your very kind introduction, and to AES for the sponsoring today's event. We also appreciate, as you mentioned in your talking about AES, what you're doing to provide more sustainable, renewable, and reliable energy to our entire region. We're grateful for that. The huge investments that you are making in Long Beach will not only provide good jobs, but also provide more tax revenue to support local services. So thank you very much. And how about Adriana Birdwell? Did she do a great job with that Pledge of Allegiance today? 6 years old. She is one of our safe surrender 140 children that has been mentioned who have been safely surrendered in Los Angeles County since 2001. She was born at a hospital in Montebello in 2009 and was the 70th baby to be surrendered. And she's here today with her loving parents, Jill and Darren, and the rest of the family, and we really thank the Birdwells for opening your arms and hearts, and most importantly, for being part of our Safe Surrender family. I would also be remiss if I did not mention and thank the courageous mother who safely surrendered, because without her courage to do the right thing, no name, no shame, no blame, we would not have had Adriana here this morning. So this courage for the mother is also very, very important to all of us. And then thank you to my pastor, Ken Corver. I'll tell you what, that's the briefest prayer I've ever heard him give. My golly. And I just want to thank him. He's a special person in the lives of me and Julie, and we want to thank him and the Emmanuel Church for continually wrapping their arms around us. And by the way, no salesman would call, but he wanted me to invite all of you to their Thanksgiving services. There's 2 on Wednesday night and 1 on Thursday. How about that, Ken? Is that pretty good, huh? All right, can I hear an amen? Thank you again for taking the time to do it. I know how busy you are. I'd also like to recognize the Long Beach Chamber, the board chair, Christy Allen, and the Chamber's board of directors, and the Chamber staff for making today's event possible. And then out there someplace, I just want them to stand up briefly. I want a big shout out to the people that make me look good each and every day, and that's my staff. Rick Velasquez and the entire staff are out there. They're around at various tables. And a special shout out to Cheryl Burnett and Andrew Weiss for what they do to help put this all together, to let me share some thoughts and put it all together with videos and everything else. I drive them nuts actually up to the last 30 minutes. While you were eating your salads, I changed some comments, and that didn't go over really big, but I thought they were very appropriate. But then also, right down here, my wife of 47 years, Julie. And to all of you, thank you for being here today. Was mentioned, our 9th annual State of the County. I really appreciate the fact that you continue to show up. It's pretty amazing. Julie says, don't they get tired of you? But as most of you know, I only have a little more than a year left in office as your county supervisor. And leaving office is going to leave me a lot of free time. I thought about becoming a gadfly and signing up for public comments every week at the Board of Supervisors. I thought about volunteering my time to wash the cars for the supervisors. Oh, I had to say it, come on. But I decided to shoot slightly higher than that. Since I have you all right here right now, I think there's no better time today than to announce my candidacy for President of the United States. Yeah, right. To quote my wife, I hope your next wife really enjoys that trip. So I already have a campaign logo to get people excited. And with all the fundraisers and speaking events coming up, I'm expanding my wardrobe. And to make sure that I look the part of President of the United States, I've made an appointment to get a real politician hairdo. You know, that's scary. That's scary how can they set something like that on my head. So I hope you'll join me as we embark on the road to the White House. Just kidding. All right. So let's get back to the serious business of what we do each and every day. And I really think one of the sad parts of the campaign and 24/7 media coverage is that politicians have become a joke of some sort, something to mock. What should be one of the most noble positions a person can hold, serving the people of our great nation, becomes prime material for nightly shows. That really bothers me. As someone who has been fortunate enough to make a career in government, who has been honored to serve all of you, I know what a difference we elected officials can make in people's lives. From the seemingly mundane but critical task of road repair, trash collection, building inspection, fighting fires, performing surgeries, protecting our most vulnerable, people absolutely depend on the work that we do each and every day. And one of the reasons that I have never been interested in national politics and why I love working at the local level is that we can't get involved in some of the silly games that are played out. We can't threaten to shut down the government. We can't filibuster for hours on end. You can't do those things either to all of you in running your business. So it's no wonder that the public doesn't trust elected officials. So what happens in this environment? This environment, you score points by being bombastic. You make headlines for being outrageous. And it really turns government into the latest reality show. But I have to be honest, I had my own run-in with reality TV earlier this year. You might have heard about a little midweek fireworks show at midnight on a Tuesday in Marina Del Rey in my district. Yes, Khloe Kardashian decided to throw a party. And as you might expect, I heard from many local residents, some who thought that we're being bombed. It sounds funny now, but can you imagine waking up a little after midnight to that? But the next day, I found myself on TMZ with Khloe. My point is all this headline grabbing and soundbite seeking is really easier than addressing our real problems. And that's where things get messy. Because solving problems requires compromise, working together. Solving problems requires an authentic look at facts that we might not like. Solving problems is just plain hard work. To take the easy way out, there seems to be a culture of what I call and will call the don'ts. Don't change your mind. Don't make mistakes. Don't change course. And above all, don't vote against your party. Come on, folks. How can we deal with the issues or get anything done if we box ourselves in like that? At every level of government, people should expect us and do expect us to solve problems. That's why I think that you all elected me and have been fortunate to serve you, and why you've elected the other elected officials in the room, and we appreciate their service. But nowhere is that more important than at the local level. Here at the county, as the ultimate safety net, people depend on us because they have reached the end of the rope, financially, physically, or mentally. Let me give you a couple examples on issues that are being discussed across this country and particularly here in Los Angeles County. The first is affordable housing, and the second would be our jail system. Both Los Angeles County and the city of Los Angeles have been making the news recently for very large financial commitments to address the growing homeless issue and the lack of affordable housing that is facing our entire region. And let me be clear, you and I know how hard it is for people to rent or own a home or an apartment here in Los Angeles County. Time and time again in my career, we've had to put resources behind housing programs for families, for veterans and others, not only in my district, but countywide. And as this issue is getting a lot of publicity right now, big numbers are being thrown around to combat the problem. $100 million for homelessness, $100 million for affordable housing, which makes for great headlines. But what happens after the headlines? Will we really be able to get that level of resources to the people who really need it? As I've told you before, the county has a $28 billion budget. So many people think, well, what's a couple of million here or even $100 million in that big of a pool? Well, it's critical that you all understand that close to 85% of that budget is allocated for us by the federal and state governments. In other words, they give us money and we run their programs and services. So that leaves us relatively little wiggle room for the rest of our budget. And as you might imagine, and you read in the papers every day, there are a lot of demands on that money, and several of you made requests today prior to lunch. And so our priorities can change and do change over the long term as new challenges arise. Last month, my colleagues proposed $100 million for affordable housing, a ramp up of $20 million each year over the next 5 years, up to $100 million per year in perpetuity. Wow, that made some great headlines. I suggested a different plan that mirrors what we had with the former redevelopment agencies. It was a formula that set aside a percentage of our revenues, and while this funding may fluctuate a bit, not get to $100 million a year, a percentage of guaranteed today and going forward. Now I get, and I heard, that $100 million sounds a heck of a lot more dramatic. But using that formula would not tie the hands of future boards and its priorities and needs change. But when I raised the issue about sustainability of an annual $100 million allocation, I was asking simple questions like, where are we going to get the money? Now and in the long term. I understand we have some now, but what about the long term? Unfortunately, some people assume that I raised the question because I am a Republican and therefore I must not care about affordable housing. You all know me, nothing could be further from the truth. There is no Republican or Democratic way to get someone off the street and into a home. I just don't want what I call field of dreams spending, where we build it now, make a press release now, and hope the money comes. I want our commitment to be real and sustainable, and I thought that the formula I proposed, while it would change a bit year to year, would have put money where our mouth is. Bottom line, I don't want to be one of those entities that makes promises that sound good at a press conference, but where our promises can't be kept and you have to cancel the program. Another issue being addressed, as I mentioned earlier, across municipalities across our country, is how we manage our prison population. Listen to this. The United States is the biggest jailer in the world. We have 5% of the world's population, but we have more than 20% of the world's prison population. Clearly, we are doing something wrong. Simply locking people up, many who have mental health issues, addiction problems, is obviously not going to help them. Diversion efforts to provide services and rehabilitation are being tested across the county and showing some good results. I should have said across the country. Here in Los Angeles County, we must absolutely replace our jail facilities, which are not only outdated, but are not safe for our inmates or our sheriff's staff. Over the last couple of years, our board has hired a few consulting firms to give their professional opinion. Sheriff McDonald and his staff also weighed in. Ultimately, the board approved a jail bed number lower than what was recommended and allocated $60 million of one-time funds for diversion programs and another $14 million ongoing. The hope is that these diversion programs will decrease the the need for more jail beds. But even the district attorney said the diversion program is not a jail reduction plan. And again, I want to be very clear. I absolutely support our diversion efforts aimed at rehabilitation and reducing recidivism. But recent laws like AB 109 and Prop 47 have put a lot of pressure on our jail system. And some of the advocates seem to want to let everyone out, but frankly, there are some really bad dudes out there who simply belong in jail. We don't know how successful our diversion programs are going to be, so we need to be flexible, and we need to prepare for the long term. I know that that doesn't play well to the advocates and doesn't draw applause, but we cannot create public policy based on wishful thinking and ideology. We cannot cater to the soundbite. We have to play the long game as the ultimate safety net. We are responsible for how our tax dollars and taxpayer dollars get spent. We are responsible for the fiscal health of the largest county in America. Again, we cannot do field of dream spending, picking a dollar figure out of the sky and hoping the money will come. Future generations expect us to be more accountable than that. I'm not whining, and this isn't about getting my way, but when we look at the huge issues like affordable housing, diversion, minimum wage, wage theft, we are talking about helping those who need it most to get the sources and the resources to them. Throwing just money at issues without a sustainable plan isn't fair to those that we're trying to help or to those who have put us in office to fix these problems. So this isn't about the state of county today. The state of the county today is good. It's about tomorrow and having the resources to help those who need us most. We must be flexible enough to turn on a dime if a crisis comes up. I think you can tell how concerned I am about all this. LA County has weathered the last recession because of prudent budgeting and a good relationship with our unions. We even received the highest credit ratings we've ever had, and we worked hard for that. So it's important for our residents because we're able to borrow money at a lower cost for infrastructure projects and items to provide the services that our constituents demand. So before I get into some easy for you to say, some specifics on the good thing I didn't eat the chicken, it probably would have come running out. Some specifics on those types of projects, let me show you some of the highlights from this past year. So if you remember a couple of years ago, because I know you were all wide awake when I talked, I had a bucket list of things that I wanted to complete before I left office. Yeah, well, you know, we're buds, the three of us, you know. But with all the money that's being spent right now, I'm very focused on measurement and accountability. So I'd like to show you my report card on our progress. I'm pleased to report that the 3 community center projects I talked about have been completed. In 2014, we opened one in Hacienda Heights, and this year we completed projects in Rowland Heights and South Whittier. These are beautiful facilities that I'm really proud of, and they make a huge impact in those communities for residents of all ages. And one of the issues the county faces is healthcare delivery. And it's that too many people enter our system in the most expensive way, and that's through the doors of the emergency room. With the launch of the Affordable Care Act, we are more than ever now focused on preventative care. However, access to preventative care has been limited, very limited, in the eastern part of my district. Last year, I told you we would be opening a clinic in Hacienda Heights this year. Unfortunately, the project has some delays because they decided to move to a more central location. So I don't get an A on the bucket list report card on that one yet. But I'm really looking forward to it opening either early next year or late next year. As you all know too, one of the county facilities I am most proud of is Rancho Los Amigos National Rehabilitation Center in Downey. For more than 2 decades, it has been named one of the top rehabilitation and only public rehabilitation hospital in the entire country by U.S. News and World Report. It's an amazing place. If you ever feel like you're having a bad day, you head over there and you see the miracles that the patients and doctors and nurses and staff accomplish there each and every day on behalf of our patients, and the struggles and the commitment that patients make in responding to them. So this year, we launched Rancho Rising 2020, a $418 million desperately needed state-of-the-art renovation. The first phase of the construction, scheduled for completion in 2016, will give us a new wellness and aquatic therapy center for our patients. The second phase includes some seismic safety and facility renovations, as well as a brand new outpatient facility, which will be completed by 2020. Another exciting development that I'm really excited about this year at Rancho was finally, after years of working with the federal government, an effort to expand our partnership with the Department of Veterans Affairs. Legislation finally passed, which will provide quicker access to care for veterans who experience long wait lines at the VA facilities. It allows veterans to choose non-VA medical facilities and have access to services closer to their homes. If the VA can't meet their needs of our vets, we've got the capacity, we've got the skills, and we've got the will. And so I want to give, I don't know if he's still here or not, but to Congressman Lowenthal, who has been very helpful in pursuing that legislation for us and working with the VA. Alan, we appreciate your friendship and the efforts on behalf of Rancho and the veterans here in Los Angeles County. And the project that I probably most want an A on is public transit to the front door of the airport. What a unique concept. This is a very complex project, and I'm trying to be patient. The environmental reviews are underway. A design firm has been selected and has begun their work, and we are aggressively seeking FTA support so that we can accelerate the project to 2023. It was originally scheduled for completion in 2028. So actually, I really don't care about an A on this project. I just want to be around to see it completed, okay? I want to get on in Norwalk and go all the way to the front door. Over the years, we've also held 31 Knabe Cups for local boys and girls high school teams, CIF certified. As I mentioned last year, I wanted to establish a junior golf academy to encourage young people from all walks of life to start playing golf, to learn the game, being outdoors, computers, the whole thing. We've reached an agreement with the city of Norwalk with their 9-hole course, and just last week we approved a contract with an operator. We plan to break ground to upgrade it in January and have everything up and running for the kids by June of 2016. So the last construction project on my bucket list is Operation Libraries. We are investing over $45 million in libraries throughout my district. Some of our facilities are so inadequate, and we have kids waiting in lines to get in there after school. Earlier this year, we broke ground on the new South Whittier Library. We just recently broke ground on the Lomita Library Annex, and just last weekend on a new facility in Los Nietos. The city of La Mirada is working with us on a $4 million remodel, and the project designs in the city of Artesia have been approved for work beginning next spring. Well, I know some people think that libraries are a thing of the past or could be a waste of money. They have evolved into the learning centers for people of all ages. The investments that we are making go way beyond brick and mortar and shelves for books. We're focusing on the digital upgrades to make our facilities relevant for people of all ages. Our libraries have never been busier, and I'm thrilled that we have the ability to invest significant resources in the communities which need it most. This year, we also said goodbye to legends like David Letterman, Jon Stewart, and said hello to the new TV titans. But I'm proud to say the constant throughout all this change has been my TV show, Dialed In with Don Knabe. Since starting the show in 2013, we filmed over 30 episodes. This year, we've taken the show on the road and filmed at the newly restored Hall of Justice with Sheriff Jim McDonnell. Just last month, we filmed an episode at Rancho Los Amigos. And every year around the holidays, we profile 3 local nonprofits which are making a huge difference in supporting people in the need in our community during the holidays. And it's just amazing to me how many groups and organizations out there are touching the lives of citizens, not just in the 4th District, but throughout the great county of Los Angeles. We have some more great shows planned for the coming year, including a trip up to Sacramento. I think Dell's still out there, but I really want to thank Charter Communications for making it happen. Thank you, Dell, and your team. We appreciate all that you do. So for a little fun, I want to add one last project to this year's update, something I've been working on for a number of years that you didn't know about. Los Angeles County is part of a nationwide organization called the National Association of Counties, better known as NACO. Together, the nation's over 3,000 counties lobby the federal government on issues impacting all counties, urban, rural, large, and small. And each year, NACO convenes a national event for all its members and supporters. The locations are usually determined a few years in advance, so we've been working at this for a while. So I've been pushing for an event here in Los Angeles County for years. I am so pleased that next year's event will be here, right here in this building in late July. It's going to bring together nearly 3,000 county leaders, booking over 9,000 local hotel room nights, and contributing between $5 and $7 million to not only Long Beach, but to the surrounding community in Los Angeles County. I really want to thank Steve Goodling and the team at the Long Beach Visitors and Convention Bureau for all their support. They were really very, very helpful. Of course, I don't just want it to take place in Los Angeles County. I want it to be the biggest and best NACO has ever held. It's not easy to have someone make fun of you. But this is a huge deal for Long Beach, for Los Angeles County and the region. But let's get back to the bucket list. Perhaps the 2 most important issues that I've worked on and if I had a legacy, I would want these at the top. They're child sex trafficking and safe surrender. Since we Sorry about that. But since we met last year, we have continued our aggressive efforts to end the exploitation of young girls in our streets. We're working with law enforcement on a new set of protocols for when they come in contact with the victims of a horrific crime. Now, rather than being taken into custody like they were in the past, we get them the wraparound services, mental health, physical health, education, job training, everything, housing, that they need to move forward with their lives should they so choose. We've tested the protocols in Long Beach and Compton, and the results have been terrific. Before, nearly 75% of the girls would run, probably back to their scumbag pimp. And now, thanks to immediate, intense engagement with these wraparound services, only 1 out of 38 juveniles ran in the first 72 hours after they were rescued. That is amazing. It's an incredible leap in the right direction. And I'm proud of the work that we have done to provide services to the victims and to increase the penalties for the scumbag pimps. But the one piece that has been missing in this is the demand side. We should not call those who buy young girls for sex anonymous Johns. Let's call them what they are. They are child rapists. Well, currently, my colleagues and myself are working on a county ordinance that would lead to the launch of a John shaming campaign, much like the top 10 child support deadbeats of a few years ago. Our intent is to publicize the names and faces of those convicted of buying young girls for sex. I know that that's something here in Long Beach that your prosecutor, Doug Hobbert, has already launched here in Long Beach, and Charlie and everyone else has been involved. And I'm confident programs like this can have a huge impact on ending this exploitation. There is no such thing as a child prostitute. They are victims. No ifs, ands, or buts. On a happier note, I'm thrilled to announce that 2015 has been the most successful since we launched Safe Surrender in 2001. 16 lives, as was mentioned earlier, have been saved so far this year, bringing the total to 140. And again, I want to thank Adriana for joining us today for the pledge. I know she's an incredible reminder of just how important this program really is. Earlier this year, we celebrated the 125th Safe Surrender with a very special event in Grand Park in downtown Los Angeles. We invited all of the families to join us to plant a special garden of life, recognizing all the children who have been saved by the program. But sadly, just last week, we heard the news of a fetus abandoned in a dumpster in Hawthorne. And so while we have achieved much, this situation reminds us that we still have a lot more work to do. No shame, no blame, no name. And I really want, Christy, you and your team to thank you and Randy for your Chamber's support for my Safe Surrender Scholarship Program, which we announced here 2 years ago. $40,000 from today's proceeds will help continue to help fund that program. And soon enough, Adriana, as young as she may be, it happens overnight, but she's going to be ready to head to college. And again this year, the Chamber has also continues to support 2 local nonprofits, which are very important to me, the U.S. Vets and the Ronald McDonald House. U.S. Vets is the largest nonprofit provider of services to veterans facing challenges in their transition back to civilian life after dedicating their lives to our country. Last month, we dedicated 80 more units of housing at the villages at Cabrillo for the homeless, some of whom are vets, and their families. So I want to thank U.S. Vets for their support of our efforts. I would ask that Brenda Thriat of U.S. Vets please stand and be recognized. And then Ronald McDonald House, which you all know is such an important part of Long Beach here, provides temporary housing for families of seriously ill children who are receiving treatment either at Miller's Children's Hospital here in Long Beach or other local medical facilities. Some of the notes and the thank you from the parents on the difference that you all make in support of Ronald McDonald House are absolutely heart-aching and heartwarming. So I'd ask Jen Moore, Jill Rosenberg, and Ron Piazza from the Ronald McDonald House to please stand. As you know, I am shortly entering my final year as supervisor. It's 1 year, 2 weeks, 6 hours, and 22 minutes. Obviously, that brings up a variety of thoughts and emotions. One thing is I know that I'll get to pick the chicken dinners that I get to go to. But seriously, perhaps my biggest concern is to what happens to the programs that all of us in this room, all the cities in this room have been working on for over 20 years. I thought long and hard about who I would like to see fill this seat next because it's really important to me. I am proud to tell you that I have endorsed my senior deputy, Steve Napolitano, for supervisor of the 4th District. I know he will continue much of what we've talked about today: fiscal responsibility, nonpartisan problem solving, and protecting the most vulnerable. Steve has been with me for 10 years and understands the importance, particularly the complexities of local government. He served as a councilman and mayor in the city of Manhattan Beach, and as a former mayor myself, I know that this hands-on experience is crucial to dealing with the everyday needs of the constituents here in Los Angeles County. He represents me in 8 4th District communities. He has shared my commitment to delivering top service to all of our residents. Steve will be ready to lead on day one. He has been involved in virtually every aspect of our operations and has the experience, knowledge, and vision to serve Los Angeles County. He's a smart, talented leader, great integrity. So I hope you will join me in supporting him. And Steve, if you're out there, please stand and we'll give you a little recognition. So today, you've heard me talk about the don'ts of our current political environment, the unwillingness to work together, to admit mistakes, to see facts, and possibly change course. And with the national election right around the corner, more importantly, the intense and combative partisanship that's going on. All of this is so divisive and contributes nothing to solving problems. So let's not celebrate that behavior. This county, this state, this nation is too big and too great to stand around and shout at each other. Politics, I'm proud of my profession, should be the art of compromise and working together rather than yelling sell out every time you have to give a little to get a little. We can have unity without uniformity. We can disagree without being disagreeable. What a unique concept. Politics is the process of making decisions, tough decisions, amid different opinions. It involves conversation, listening, and balancing valid but competing ideas. It's not about pointing fingers or being bombastic. As Teddy Roosevelt once said, complaining about a problem without proposing a solution is called whining. And it most certainly isn't leadership. I was recently reading about a young entrepreneur who recently said, leadership does not need to be dramatic, fist in the air, trumpets blaring. Leadership comes from integrity, that you do whatever you ask others to do. And just by providing a good example as a parent, a friend, a neighbor, a work colleague, we can make it possible for other people to see a better way to do things. Every day we have choices. And we can make a choice to jump on to the bandwagon of division, or we can choose to be a builder of families, a builder of neighborhoods, of communities, our business, our neighbors, and most importantly, we can commit to being a builder of bridges and not walls. So I want to say to all of you, thank you for being here. Happy Thanksgiving. And from my family to you, we wish you a Merry Christmas. And however you may celebrate the holidays, we hope it's a beautiful, joyous season and good blessings, and most importantly, a prosperous, and most importantly, good health in the new year. May God bless you. May God bless our troops. And may God continue to bless the United States of America.